Well, hello, everyone. Welcome to a noonday. For me, it's noon. Probably where you are, it's either backwards or forwards. So, how you doing? Good to see everyone. Boy, everyone. Hello, Sandra, D, Chris. Good to see you, Anja, Denise. Wow, welcome. Hey, listen, I can't think of a better place to play hooky, and that's what I'm doing. Yeah, there's that corporate life, that was there. Well, sometimes it's still there, and it is really still there. And I am playing hooky, just to let you know. I am. But the reason why I'm doing this is several reasons. I had one of those serious, I don't know if you want to call it an epiphany, download, which happens in the shower. It's fact. It happens in the shower, and boy, did I get one. And so I wanted to share it with y'all today. And well, there's 51 of us in here, so maybe 52. We'll let a few more in and kind of share that epiphany, that download I got, because I believe that there is more than just myself that have struggled and dealt with these three questions. And I have found that once you find in core, this is core, you can call it your spirit. It's debatable whether or not. Hey, Trisha G. Listen, I just want to let everyone know we're going to get Trisha back on here. Probably do it maybe if she can get some time, maybe do it tomorrow. I've owed her, I'm about, I don't know, 11 days behind on emails as well. So good to see you. Welcome all the moderators. So, um, once you find, I think, within yourself these answers, and I have. Now we go down many different paths, I believe, in our lives to seek these answers. Some define it as truth. And while we're talking about truth, let's talk about I think some it's good in a community that we bring this out because I don't want to hurt anyone's feelings out there. I don't want to step on anyone's toes. But in life, you're going to do it. And whether it be mine, whether it be yours, it happens. It's the inadequacies of words. It's a lousy way to communicate. If we communicated telepathically, and this is R. Wayne Steiger's philosophy, we would absolutely blow ourselves up because we can't handle truth. Because truth can only be truth when it's completely transparent and not filtered by one's perception. And I have a lot of guests on here, a lot of guests. It's why the channel is growing. It's why the community is growing. So many people contributing because we're all seeking truth. Now, I don't know what truth is. I know in a court of law, it is defined as the highest reality that exists. That's an interesting definition. But then again, that's very ambiguous as to, well, what is the highest form of reality? Again, subjective to who's ever writing it or who happens to be rendering a decision or a thought. So all the guests here, none of us agree 100% with, but you know what we all do agree upon is the fact that they can come here and express without fear of being somehow maligned maliciously by words being thrown out, liar. You know, that isn't right. You may not agree with them, and you may not agree with what they're saying. But to call someone a liar is harsh, unbalanced. And because a guest comes on and expresses an idea or a free thought, to have someone come back and say that they are a liar, that's persecution. That's not criticizing. Listen, in my day, working where I did for startups, turnarounds, we, by necessity, because of our industry, had to raise millions of dollars. And the only way you're going to get millions of dollars is primarily through venture capital, private equity. And so we entered in a lot back in the day of many venture capital conferences. Many of these conferences only allowed between 10 and 20 participating presenting companies. And many cases, I know several that we actually applied to, well over 5,000 companies had submitted applications. And I have to say, I batted about 95%. Those investment conferences that we applied to, we ended up being part of the finalists of the companies. But to get through that process was brutal. I mean, when you're standing before panel after panel that's judging you, critiquing you on every aspect, every word, you have to have some pretty thick skin. And didn't bother me. I know how to take criticism. I'm not perfect. Every diamond, sometimes in order to shine the facet, it has to go through the grinding wheel. So that's the process. And so when I hear someone calling another person a liar, that angers me. And guess what, folks? I ain't no saint. You piss me off, and I'm going to put it right back in your face. You know, someone actually tried to have the idiocy of trying to threaten me. And I just wrote back and just laughed. That's what I said. I'm laughing at you. What are you going to threaten me with? Death? Are you kidding? You know, people like that, let me just tell you, and I'm going to tell it to you and I'm going to show you how you can express yourself in a manner that is elegantly expressed, but everyone knows what you're saying. So many people, what I see is that their craniums are so far up their rectums that they have now replaced the gray matter with the fecal matter, and therefore their thoughts are clouded. Now, many of you will probably be able to interpret that. That's how you can basically put it right back at people. So don't you dare come in my sandbox, this community sandbox, and call anyone a liar. Because here's the reality. You're a liar. I'm a liar. Everybody's a liar. If you're human, you're a liar. It's who we are. And for you to take a self-righteous position, particularly when the debate is about theory, that's lunacy. It don't work that way. So now that we set that straight, I know. You know, listen, I love everybody. I mean, I really do. I respect everybody has a belief. Before I just came on here, I had a Satanist that was debating me. Now, here's something you don't know about R. Wayne Steiger. My background is, well, it's diverse. In 1971, I was in San Francisco, what used to be called Candlestick Park. And down there, we actually called it People's Park. And I'm dating myself. But the thing about it was, we saw some great groups. I saw Crosby, Stills come in and just start jamming. Carlos Santana came down there many times. Anyway, we got into this group and there's a discussion. And there was a dude in there that began to talk, and we were talking about religion. deities, gods, etc., etc. Well, this cat's name, I didn't, got into a good conversation, was Anton LaVey. Now, many people may not know who Anton LaVey is, but Anton LaVey wrote the Satanic Bible. And it was an interesting discussion. I mean, at that age, it's the thing about when you thought about the devil was, ooh, well, it was interesting to hear a different perspective. It was no different than meeting with many of the Krishna people. When you got a chance to really get into those circles, and as the pipe would get passed around, you'd have those deep, meaningful conversations about life, death, everything in between. Maybe that's where the roots of my philosophy began. I don't know. Well, thank you, Mother Nature. Thank you. Thank you. Honored. So, it begins to expand your awareness and knowledge, as the great philosopher Hermes said, the bill always comes due. There's no such thing as free tuition. They don't happen that way. And the reason why we sometimes, as a species, we gravitate towards religion is that, number one, there's comfort in numbers. And two, it allows a certain wall to be built around us that, it deals with sections we don't have to deal with. It's just the way it is. But the problem is those conclaves never stay cohesive. Inevitably, there's going to be a schismism and they're going to break off, et cetera, et cetera. Oh, by the way, little business here. I sent a package out to our good friend Rex Bear, who actually is a gift from one of our subscribers, Rennie, and weirdest thing, it came back. I've never seen this before. So postman brings this up last evening. Says, return to sender, insufficient address. The weird thing is exactly his address. So Nixie, I guess she didn't want to deliver it to the Rex man. So we're going to try it one more time. But it's weird, isn't it? So let me get some of my tea, please. On the health side, so I got my blood results back. Not going to show you everything, but anyway, here it is. And there it was. Outstanding. So let me just put this out there. Even my doctor says, what are you doing? I mean, when you get your blood work, and I mean, it's like 1, 2, 3, 4, 4.5 pages, right? Did this full workup. I love it when you hit in right in those norms. You know what this tells me? It's almost like this freedom slip. Well, I don't need to take that prescription drug. Thank you very much. Well, what are you doing? I am not going to tell you. Well, why not? Because if I tell you, then you're going to try to prevent someone else from doing it. So we all want to be healthy. We want healthy blood, although I throw up at the sight of it. So those two things right there. And listen, back to this whole thing. We can have intelligent discussion here. I welcome all beliefs, because what we're going to be talking about here real quick, and this is not going to be a real long show. I'd love it to be our normal hour. Gee, is there 161 people in here? Wow. Hello, everyone. Again, I'm so glad. Y'all are some really smart people, because what y'all don't know is that I learn a lot from y'all. It's really wonderful. So one of the freedoms, and Jeff Doherty and I were talking about this on our Sunday morning show over in his channel. And if you're not catching it live, it's over on Jeff's channel every Sunday morning, 9 a.m. Eastern Daylight Time. And was one of the freedoms that I have experienced of late. And it's almost kind of euphoric because once that millstone really is lifted off of you, your shoulders kind of go back to the way that they were meant to be. You get that poise and you get that posture and you're feeling like, yeah, I may be 60, but hey, let's rumble, You get that kind of giddy feeling because it allows you to begin to see so much of what we miss because we get weighed down by all the concerns of life. And what I have found most, because I read your emails, I really do. I may not respond back because, folks, trust me. I mean, I need to be like with 6 different arms, In my youth, a lot of the women I dated said I had more than 2 hands. So, but I don't know. That's just kidding. Not really. But was that when you start breaking out of a particular core belief, and in this case, we'll use religion, denominations, whatever. Well, again, that safety belt is gone. There's no safety net. And you've got to begin to kind of think about, well, all right, so what does that mean? I mean, what happens to me when I die? I've read so many emails where people struggle with this, and I've meditated on this. I've actually really got that point where it wasn't a total out of body experience, but you can really get to that place as David used to write. I always love reading Psalms, I love the word Shelah. Shelah. And that word has a translation that means to be still, meditate, and translate. So you meditate and it comes in. So I did this little presentation for all of us, and I hope you enjoy it because this is kind of the epiphany that came to me. So we all try to look for the peace of mind, right? That is what we want to do. I mean, I was just before I came on here, I was listening to Loggins and Messina. Met both of them and their song that they have, Peace of Mind. And Kenny Loggins on that great ballad that he sings, we're all searching for a little bit of peace of mind. And so the thought came to me, well, what if the one thing that you could really get settled is, by the way, we're doing our walkabout now. So get your beverage of choice. I have my chai tea. Highly recommend it, by the way. I'm telling you, when I get blood results back and you can begin to see that your kidneys are functioning and filtering, you begin to see all of the nuances, because what this is really a minefield. I know I'm digressing, but it's a minefield because immediately when they find something that's out of balance, well, they're going to write you, as Grace Slick says, that little white pill. So peace of mind. My whole thing about was this. When I left Christianity, it's like, okay, what happens now, Steiger? Yeah, you can't go back in. It's like the Matrix. I mean, once you're pulled out of the Matrix, you can't be jacked back in. And if you could, would you want to be, right? So it took a long time for this God spell to be broken over me. I mean, it sucks. That's all I can tell you. It sucks, but it's worth it. It really is. I mean, when you get there, it's like, yes. And we've all worked for goals, and you know how it is. You've sacrificed for them. I think every mother that's in this chat room that is given birth knows exactly that feeling. It's like, yes, you've done something. You've done a miraculous thing of the whole universe. You've actually given birth. That's why I still say that the whole balance system is unbalanced. All right. I want to get this thought. I wrote this to a couple of very close friends this morning and giving them some meditative things to think about. And this epiphany came to me just the other day, yesterday. And that is this: I did not fear my birth, as Jeff and I were talking about. And when I finally comprehended it, there's two steps of ascertaining knowledge. First is the comprehension. Second is the apprehension. Many people can comprehend. It's like, oh, yeah, I can comprehend that. But for the most part, they can't come back and apprehend it. And when you apprehend it, you actually take authority over it. It's like one of the things we're going to talk about is that when you look into the mirror, start addressing yourself by your full name. Because I don't know, I can't prove this, never talked to anyone on the other side, but I got a sense, how are you going to know who you are? And how is other people going to know what your name is? I guess maybe that's somehow universally transmitted. I don't know. I mean, is the scene like this? Coming out of the chute, we have our Wayne Steiger. And, what is it announced? Is it the universal consciousness suddenly going to know, oh, well, here he is? And is a spirit male sexual based? Is it male, female? I mean, I ask myself, I think about these things. I get to look at the mountains and get carried off by, the spirits that are around and allow my thoughts to there. And so as we begin to see this, you didn't fear your birth. And if any of us did, we don't remember. This is the fact. We can witness the birth of our offspring, but we know now, when you get awake in a lot of this, the miracle that you're watching, and that is that child didn't seem to have a problem. Only until it had to take its first breath. But the point is, I don't believe that child feared. I don't think that spirit feared. So if we didn't fear our birth, why should we fear our death? It's lunacy. Now, there's all of us, well, some of us get to that point where you just realize that this life is at best a redundant cycle, day in, day out. You have to begin to make sure that you're taking advantage of everything that you can. Knowledge, wisdom, experiences. Because if that's what consciousness is merely a recording of the effects of what we call life. So who knows? Give me 1 second. Okay. So death comes for all of us. It's inevitable. So why fear it? I guess in one way, we've been taught wrong about this. I can remember the writings of Paul. It's given unto man once to be born, once to live, and to die in judgment. I don't know about you, but how do you judge someone on the same scale? Let's just take, let me see, I can't see who's in the chat room, but I know that Sandra D was in there. And I'm going to say Sandra D. I know Jeff Doherty was in there earlier, and I'm going to take Chris. And so we're going to get on to a panel, right? So we're about to be judged. What standard could someone judge me by in my life to judge your experiences by? Or Chris's, or anyone else that I just said, or anyone else in the chat room? I mean, seriously. It's like the preference of intimacy. I mean, we don't talk about these things because civilized people have a certain amount of decorum that, you don't discuss certain things in public. But, sexual preference. Now, I never could figure out, how could you tell me if just the missionary position is the only right position? Who wrote that? You see? Gets weird, doesn't it? Yeah, I know. So here's the other thing. This came to me this morning, and let's talk about this. So I have a question for you. Was God with you at your birth? On your birth? Was the Creator with you? Then my question is, why do we need religion? Because why would the Creator not be with you on your death? What, did he get pissed off? So, all right, now that you're born, good luck, Jackson. I'll see you on the other end, maybe. That's crazy. And it never occurred to me. So I'm in the shower, right? Meditating on this thing. And boom, I hear this inner voice that says to me, well, if I was with you from the very beginning, and this is what I heard, what the hell makes you think that I'm not going to be there with you on the end? I told you about my vision. Now, I was there. When people write me and tell me that they've had visions of Jesus and what have you, do I discount that? No, absolutely not. I absolutely believe these people, in fact, experience that. It's the reality that we create. And so when I went through the birth portal, and that's what it was, it's literally a birth portal, what I experienced, walk through this thing, and there were people there. They were not people that actually would have physical form. You don't see it that way. It's a sense that it's because, remember, you don't have physical eyes, at least not the eyes that we consider to have eyes. We can see those things now. It's just that we've been blinded to it. But we'll see that when you get on the other side. Now, these people, these spirits, these energies, I knew them. It was almost like they were waiting for me like there was an appointed time. And I remember stepping through, and I had with me, and I can't really show you something that would give you something, but it was I'll show you what it looked like. Let me draw it out. Give me 1 second. It was literally, let me get this. It was a white opalescent stone, and I was carrying it in my bosom, right? I mean, I was kind of cradling it. And as I stepped through, it was like I greeted everyone, and then I went to my place. I knew it was my place. And when I walked in, there was this panel in front of me, like a desk panel. And I put this stone into a particular slot. Now, there were other stones there, and then there were other blank spots as well. And when I put that in there, then immediately there was a great presence in this room. You can call it God, call it the infinite creator, the infinite being. I don't know. I just knew um, there was a deep relationship. And it was quite interesting because the stone got activated. And it was like all of the emotions, all of my experiences in a moment, this entity, this energy experienced. And I can remember because, you know, we all have those in our lives who we love. And many of us through life, we love many people. And some are more deeper, more intimate loves, where my wife is concerned. And the interesting thing was that those emotions, that energy was contained in this stone, whatever this thing was. And then after that, I remembered that I was going to be there for a while. But apparently, it's almost like I have a sense I've done this before. But anyway, so here's the whole point to this point is this. You have to decide and ask yourself, was your image of God with you at your birth? And if you answer yes, then to me, the most logical conclusion that when you finish this experience, this ride of a lifetime, and you step through, it'll be there right there with you. Why would it leave? So, something to think about. And I'll kind of end this presentation with this. I am aware of time. I cannot stop time. Time is past and present. Future time does not exist. And I want to explain that. Future time is only a concept, a theory. Now, you can say, but Wayne, I can say in the next 30 seconds, I plan on being right here. When that 30 seconds happens, it's the present. We can see the past. And this is where Dr. Albers would come in a good conversation. With the light that we see of the universe is all the past. It's never the present. All we see is the past. The moment we observe it, it's no longer present, it's past. And then that would simply come to this conclusion. I am time. You are time. We hear the expression said, in their time. Their time has come. So, let me get out of here. So there you go, folks. Thought I'd just share that with you. Well, there was one thumbs down. Someone don't like me. Yeah, and I tell you, I love what Laura Eisenhower told me, and she actually said it when we had her on, and she said, well, you know, Wayne, one person doesn't like you. Well, you only got 7.5 billion others that do. So anyway, I hope this was fun. This is going to be a short one. Something to think about. For myself, listen, I believe the Creator was with me. And maybe because I don't remember the birth process, maybe it's one of those things you don't want to remember. Maybe when you buy the ticket and it's punched as you're coming in, they're going to say to you, yeah, you best hold on. And we see the same thing. My wife, where she works at is a place where many people end up dying. And the great thing about my wife is that she knows the dying process. She knows it from a point of view that she had never really understood before. And as her and I both became awake in this process, as we talk and as she expresses to me, there's a defined process that can be as defined as giving birth. The incubation period for the death process in most people, depending if you're going to be exiting out, and there is no such thing as natural circumstances, you end up dying, no matter what you look at it, of cardiac arrest. We're all going to die of a heart attack. Bottom line, that's what end of life does. And there is a much more condensed process of the death process. And I think, in just talking with my wife on this, is that it's a definable process of where the spirit is now beginning to take the reality of disengaging from the body. Now, it's a complicated process. If you're somehow tragically killed, many times it's so instant that isn't a problem. You end up immediately wherever that other place is. But if you're dying, let's say, of cancer, or if you're dying of a terminal disease that's basically sucking your life out of you this one day at a time, then it gives the spirit time to begin to process what's taking place. And accordingly, apparently, as my wife tells me, there comes a point in time of two different types of departure. There's one of peace, and there's one that seems to be one of more fear. Now, that tells me that you have two different realities of the spirit disengaging from the body and the mind, and then making that process. So, anyway, deep subject, huh? But these are the type of things that if we discuss, we all learn, because every one of you have your views on this. And I tried to give as much of a platform for everyone that we can get as broad of an understanding from as many different points of view as possible. When we go to the smorgasbord, the buffet, you know, I don't take everything that's on there. I've seen some people that do. Remember the comedian Louis Anderson, his famous line when he went into the Chinese restaurant, all you can eat. He said when he came back, the owner walked out and says, "Oh no, you cannot come in. No more buffet for you." So maybe Louis just understood to take as much from life and experience all you can while you can. I don't know if that's such a bad philosophy either. I think that there's probably some wisdom in that. Always one of the mind coituses of Christianity is that where Paul wrote in the book of Romans, he said, "Well, all things are permissible for me, but not all are profitable for me." What is he saying? Is everything all right, but maybe not the best for me? I mean, kind of blows the hell out of the sin problem, doesn't it? I don't know. All right. I've taken up enough of your time this morning. You folks just take good care of yourselves. I'll see you. Matt Hatter, good to see you. Going to have him on. We're going to see some amazing codes. How I love minds. I love analytical minds, how they can get, because when you can get the analytical, you can get the creative, and you find that happy meeting place. Boy, it's things begin to spark and where you get spark, you have energy. And then if there's energy, you have force, and that brings enlightenment. At least the photons are going to enlighten the area. We'll find out how well it enlightens the spirit, right? He said lawful. Yes, Sean, he did say lawful. All things are lawful. Ay, ay, ay. What does that mean? Well, maybe that's why listen, I was out there when a lot of y'all were still at home. And at the age of 15, I'm out there with no supervision. One of the first jobs I had was the dishwasher at a place. And if any of you lived in Houston in 1970, 71 in the Montrose area, you'll know what I'm talking about. There was a restaurant there called the Natural Child. And it was all natural, organic food. We didn't even know what organic was back then, but it was all natural. It's called the Natural Child. And I was dishwasher. But the cool thing about it was everyone got high. Everybody got high. I mean, but the food was great. And it's where I learned how to make granola. I lived off granola. There was a good couple of months, and it was the best thing I could have ever had. And so I'll tell you a quick story as we're exiting out of here. So when I grew up in Genoa at the age of about 10, we were poor. My dad worked for NASA and was making $2 an hour. And there were 6 kids and 2 adults. So we grew everything, both out of the ground and, rabbits, chickens, what have you. And I one day was walking and this horse came up. It was a Shetland pony, bigger horse, and it wouldn't leave me. I tried to get the thing out, but it followed me home. So we ended up keeping the horse. No one ever claimed it, named it Sam. And it was my responsibility to take care of the horse. And so I did. And we would get that horse horse feed. And now horse feed was raw oats with molasses. Now, there were times when we were hungry. When you're out there working in the garden in that Texas sun, pulling weeds, a lot of times the only thing we got to eat was basically, I can remember eating black-eyed peas, taking them right off the plant and deshelling them. But my point to all that was, later when I was on my own at the age of 15, I got a good experience. I said, well, this is just like horse feed. So anyway, it kept me alive, kept me healthy, apparently, at the same time. Who would have ever thought? Smoking all of that cannabis would do that to you. So, and the LSD, and also the mescaline, and the psilocybin mushrooms. So you see, folks, there are those of us who went through that. We're completely normal. Sure. All right. Well, all right, folks. Well, I'll do that. I will. Deborah, I'll get one of the sessions here and we'll make some of the, I can tell you how you do it. We have to get the oats, but you have to have molasses. I don't know if any of you have actually have any dark molasses, but yeah. And then you get to put in all the kind of good stuff in there. All right. So y'all be good. And I'll probably see you tomorrow. And we'll try to get Trisha on. I owe a lot of people shows. Got Trisha needs one. I had to cancel out that. Steve with a slightly sanded Truth Seeker. Going to get him on. And by the way, this Friday, Dr. Richard Allen Miller. Now that's going to be fun. We're going to have a lot of fun on that one. See, I love minds like that. Doesn't he just stimulate you? It's the same thing with Claudia. Listen, I'm still grasping the photon. as she was talking. But it's radical when you begin to think about it. And then come to find out, when she started postulating stellar cores, it turns out that there have been other scientists now agreeing that apparently there has been study on this. So way to go, Dr. Albers. And we do appreciate her, as we appreciate all of the people that come on here. Appreciate all of y'all. I've talked enough. I've got to get back to work. Have yourself a great day, and we will see you real soon. All right, be kind to yourselves. We don't want stinking souls, and that means we don't want stinking spirits. You're beautiful. Address yourself by your full name and just be grateful for the experience you're going through. Soak it up. It'll work. It'll be fine. We're going to do all right. All right, folks. Talk to you.